How's it going? Motor City Miner here, coming at you from the farm. I'm back with my E300 from OSPREY, and I think it is time to switch to Kylacoin. I mean, I actually did want to switch to it a little sooner, but the OSPREY E series, you know, whether you have the E100, 200, 300, was having some issues with Kylacoin on its past firmware, so I have updated the firmware to the latest. So if you need instructions on how to do that, Rapid Mining did a good video on how to update your firmware on your E300. So I'm actually just going to kind of go over trying to mine Kylacoin today. Finally had some time to, work on the settings and see what works best. I am going to try RetroMike's pool. I'll put a link down to his pool below. Another, crypto tuber in the community, always active in the crypto community, so I'd rather support him if possible. And this is his website here for his Kylacoin pool, so a link down below. A little bit on the primary colors here, kind of looks a little in your face, but still nice and clean. All the information's pretty straightforward and in front of you. But RetroMike, if you're watching, I think the color scheme's a little extreme, but maybe the kids will like it. So, so let's jump into this though. So I have in fact already stopped my miner from mining Kaspa. There's my information below. So let's start by setting our voltages. So I think, why not? I'll just start at the second highest, because that seemed to work, for Kaspa. So we're gonna set at, it looks like 795 millivolts on our voltages. So let's give this a shot. So you can do it, by each individual FPGA. I'm just gonna do it for all of them. And this was 795, and I don't believe HBM is required. No, it is not. This is just a core algorithm. So we will apply those. It'll give me this pop-up that it'll take effect in about 20 seconds. I'm going to leave my temperatures. Again, I always use 80 for pretty much all my equipment, with very few exceptions. So we'll do a little refresh here, see if that has, yes, it has transpired. So we now have 795 for all of our voltages there. So we're going to hop on over to the miner. So you're going to want to select K1 Lab. They're the only ones that support Kyla on the E300 at the moment. Pool. So let's jump on over to RetroMike's pool. There's got to be a connect button. There it is. How to connect. So let's see. What do we got to do? RetroMike, where are your stratum information? There it is. I am just blind. So there we go. We're gonna copy that guy. If I can select the proper thing. Alright, so we're gonna throw that in our... Nope. I should have just copy and paste the whole thing rather than just the last part. But, whatever. Let's see, and I did already plug in my mining wallet into Kylacoin into the pool, so we're just gonna copy that over here. Alright, worker ID, I'll keep it the same. FPGA core clock, OSPREY for the 795 millivolts recommends at 850 clock. So we will do that. Again, the higher the hash rate on here, the less efficient it is. You're using more power, but again, I have a pretty good electrical rate, so I prefer to get as much yield as I can. So we're gonna shoot for this 850 by 795 millivolt option here. We're gonna see what happens. It might completely crash. I don't really know. We're gonna press start, and we're gonna see how this goes. Alright, so we're going to hop on over to the miner logs here. Again, this is an FPGA, so it will take considerable time for the bit stream to load. So I'm going to cut out that wait in this video for you guys, but you can see here that it has already started the programming, and once it gets to 100%, it should indeed start. Alright, we are just about to hit that 100% programming completion. So we should be able to start mining, and there it goes. Now, we'll see it's spinning up here. You can see we hit 6.8 on each of them so far. You can kind of see the 1, 2s, and 3s for the FPGAs intertwined there. Let's see, can we see our, yep, there we go, look at that, 35, so far all valid shares, so that's great. It doesn't appear like we're having many errors or anything, so yeah, no invalids. Look at that. So far so good at this setting level, so that's nice. We're just hovering right around, so that would be, yeah, right about 20.4. We'll see how the temps do. It's not, my E300 is not in the coolest location, but it's also not in one of my hot mining rooms, so I think it should be alright, but we'll keep an eye on it here for a little bit and see if it starts to show up on the pool. Alright, and there it is. It has finally shown up on the pool. See a bunch of pending shares here. So you can see we're already at 10 gigahash shares per second. So it looks like we're connected. While that continues to ramp up, I did want to hop on over to the status page and see how we're doing. Wow, okay, so one of our FPGAs is really, really hot. That is FPGA 0, which is that mini heatsink board. So it's a little unfortunate that, I mean, it's still under my 80, but I'm not too thrilled with that 75. We'll let it run a little longer. It hasn't been that long yet. See if it keeps going up. If it gets closer and closer to that 80, I'm probably gonna, at least for that board, undervolted a little bit, so it's not so warm. These other two right now in the 60s, you know, that's fine. I don't have any worries there. Yeah, that FPGA just keeps getting hotter and hotter. You know what? I kind of think this is a good opportunity to see if these maximum temps you set in the OSPREY software, like, truly, you know, are battle hardened and tested, and it will actually turn off that board when it hits that temperature. So let's keep an eye on our miner log and see what happens here as it gets warmer and warmer. It's interesting because in here it says the temperature is significantly lower. You can see that FPGA 1, which would be 0 in the BIOS, is at 68.4, which is significantly less than what it's saying on the OSPREY BIOS, so I don't really know why there's such a discrepancy. I mean, all these numbers are lower, so I'm not sure where these temps are getting pulled from versus where OSPREY is pulling temps from. I mean, we still don't have any invalids, so that's good, but yeah, it's just very, very warm. I mean, 79 now, oh boy. Alright, I guess we're about to find out what it does. Like, is that 80 in the software or in the BIOS that it's reading? Like, does this need to get to 80 for it to restart in the mining software, or is it once it hits 80 in OSPREY's, you know, BIOS, is that when it restarts? So we'll just keep watching for a little bit here, see if this 69, I'm pretty sure pretty much when that hits 70 will be at that 80-degree mark in the BIOS. Seems to be about a 10-degree temp difference, so it actually seems to be going down, so that's interesting. Oh, because it's thermal throttling. you can see our hash rate has dropped significantly on that board. So we're now down at 5.57. So it does appear that it has indeed thermal throttled that down considerably from where it was. Again, we're looking at FPGA 1. It's really hard to keep track of it since it moves so quickly. Let's see if I can select one. There we go. Alright, so yeah, it's down in the 5s right now. I mean, it's just being massively thermal throttled. Whereas these other two actually just keep increasing. They're now like almost at 8 gigahash. So, I mean, it appears I can run these overclocks, but not without running into temperature issues. So, again, it's just thermal throttling that right at that 79 degree mark. So we're gonna hop on over here and stop our miner real quick. So that's stopped now. We're gonna go back into OSPREY's recommendations. So again, that settings seem to work well for the other two boards. I think I'm just gonna up them to the higher one and see if my boards can even handle that, the 900 and 835. The other one though, I think I'm gonna drop down to this 800 by 750. You can see how if I moved all three boards, it would drop the wattage on the entire E300 considerably. So hopefully the drop in wattage on the one board will really help with temperatures on that board. So yeah, we'll get these in there. So for FPGA 0, we're gonna put in 750. So we'll hop on over to our main page, FPGA 0. We're gonna type in 750 and apply that change. Alright, while it's applying that, take a look. We're gonna do 835 for the other two boards. So there is no way to like select two at a time, so it's either all or one. So we're gonna have to do each of those individually, and these are each gonna be, as I said, this 835, wrong column, 835 for the voltage. So there we go, we'll change that for FPGA 1. Let's do FPGA 2 as well. There we go. Alright, in a couple moments those overclocks should hit. There we go, 750, 835, and 835. Alright, so now we're going to hop back into the miner configuration. It will have all your last settings. So for our FPGA core clock, interesting. So there's this sentence here that isn't normally here for the other coins. It says all FPGA will use the same clock when mining Kylacoin. So I actually don't think that I can do what I wanted to do, because there's no way to set 900 for some and 800 for that, FPGA 0. Alright, so I guess this kind of changes things. I'm gonna just see if that note's always there. Like, what if I change this to Team Red Miner and Kaspa? Yeah, then it lets me do each individually. So yeah, I guess for Kylacoin and possibly K1 Lab, maybe it's specific to him, you can only set one core clock. So I'll tell you what. You know what? We're going to type in the 900 for the high end. I know the one board's going to overheat, so we're not going to run this permanently. But, I want to see if the other two cards can actually handle that anyway. It'd be rather interesting to see. So we're going to run all three at the high overclocks, which again are 900 on the core clock and 835 on the millivolts. So now, as you can see, that's like almost 130 more watts being pumped in the unit for not much gain, and will probably cause a lot more heat. So this is probably going to be very short-lived. But again, just curious if my cards can even handle it. So not from a temperature standpoint, but from like an overclock standpoint. So we'll quickly, while that's loading, quickly see what's going on over on the pool. Yep, it has started to drop because I have turned off my miner briefly. Looks like our programming is complete. Let's see what this does. Other than catch on fire. Again, there's about 0 chance being able to run this long term, just because we couldn't even run the slightly lower setting. But again, just kind of want to see what Silicon Lottery. What do I got? Like, is mine actually capable of the highest settings that are recommended? So far, only valid shares, so that's great. You can see temperatures are quickly rising though. Yeah, we're at the 21.6 already, all at 7.2 over here. Again, I assume very quickly we're going to start hitting thermal throttling on that FPGA 0. Again, I think I've said it in every OSPREY video I've done, I really dislike that the one board has a smaller thickness heatsink. I feel like the design of the shell should have factored that in some way. Again, even if you're in a climate where temperature isn't an issue, I mean, it's just always going to be more wear and tear on that unit, just because it's always going to run hotter than the others. So still a weird design decision on OSPREY's part. I'd like to see if they ever like revise the design, a solution where all 3 can have the same exact heatsink. But it is what it is for now. Still actually haven't hit that temp limit, but we're getting there. We'll jump back once we get all the way up there again, just to see how much it affects our hash rate. Alright, so you can see here that our FPGA 1 is actually cooler than the others. Oh, interesting. So I just realized that I forgot to lower or heighten the voltage on FPGA 1 after I made that first change, when I thought I could give them different core clocks. So it's actually running, as you can see, significantly lower on the core, or on the voltage, at 725 versus the 800s for the other 2. But it's actually running stable. It's all accepted shares, no invalids. So I think I've accidentally successfully underclocked that card, getting really high hash rate at a much lower wattage. And if we jump over to our stats page, yeah, that's reflected here as well. Yeah, it's 750. And temperature wise, it's right around the others, but if this was at 835, it would be on fire. So, interesting. I wonder if maybe, let's try that with all the boards. That might make them all cooler. So yeah, again, I'm winging this at this point. So, not following their instructions anymore. I guess we're gonna see how, with this 900 clock, how low we can drop the voltage before we lose stability, and bump up that efficiency. Because maybe I hit the Silicon Lottery jackpot here with for Kylacoin anyway. That was not the case on Kaspa. I could not run it at the highest setting, and even with increasing the voltage, it wouldn't work beyond what they recommended. So it just could not achieve those, whereas right now I'm achieving the high clock while being significantly undervolted per their recommendations using that 750. So we'll see if we can use that for all of them. And honestly, I think I'm going to try even lower on the one card, just because it is still running rather warm. So maybe we'll do 725 on the millivolt for FPGA 0. So let's do this. FPGA 0, let's do 725. Apply. And now for the other ones, we'll do 750. And 750. Alright. Now, part of me wants to just throw them all to 725 and see if that works, but the 750 is such a drop from this 833 that if these other two are not as Silicon Lottery awesome, I really don't want to like accidentally really throw them out of their comfort zone. So we'll drop to 750 first, since it seemed to work on the one card. See if that carries over. Do a quick refresh. Yep, alright, we're all set there. Hop over to our miner. We're going to keep this at 900 and we're going to start again. Alright, so it is loading up the bit stream. I have heard you don't necessarily need to stop this each time, but I prefer, when I'm messing with any overclocks to always start from scratch. Just a personal preference. I do it with my GPUs, do it with my ASICs, and, well, doing it with my FPGAs. But to each his own. Alright, so we're back. We have dropped those two other cards to 750 and the one to 725. Again, in the software, this is the effective versus the BIOS. It's the real. So far, no invalids. So they're all holding that 7.2 at an absolutely insanely low millivoltage compared to what's recommended. I even started looking through like the Discord to see like what other people have done. And it seems like, even this guy couldn't achieve 800 at the 700, and he had to bump up 800 to the 750, and I'm like running 900 at like sub 750 right now. Again, I haven't run this for that long, so I don't know if there'll be long-term stability issues, but we're not getting invalids, so that's impressive so far. No, there's an invalid. We did pop up an invalid. Man, this moves so fast, it's so hard to... Alright, so FPGA 2 has an invalid. That's FPGA 2. I keep pressing 2. There's one. One has a slight invalid. What about 3? Nope, that's... Oh man, these are so fast. Where's the 3? There's the 3. 3 has no invalids though so far. So we'll keep an eye on this, see if those numbers keep going up. Alright, so looks like we're doing pretty good on our temps this time around. All the boards are a lot cooler, so that's pretty good. Looks like we do have just really subtle invalids that, maybe we'll try and eliminate those completely. Still getting a lot of accepted shares, but let's, so what were the recommended numbers? The recommended numbers, again, were these guys right here. So we're running 900 core clock right now at either 750 or 725 millivolts. I wonder if we do like 875 on the clock. They're just slightly slower. If that'll eliminate those issues, and maybe even drop. We'll do that first, and then if that solves the issue, we'll see if we can keep lowering our voltages. Alright, so it's been running for a little while now. Looks like we're still getting one FPGA that has errors. So we're definitely still seeing some invalids. Looks like across all of them, you can kind of see, I can't click it, but FPGA 1, 2, and 3 all had an invalid in a pretty short span there. So, after some thought and just looking at the wattages, I think I'm going to go back down to the 850 that was completely stable on the clock, and see how low I can push the voltage for that. So, if you recall, I was running 850 at 795 before. Right now I'm almost stable at 875 and like 750. So I think if this comes down to 850, I could maybe get down to the 700, maybe 725 on all the cards. So we'll give that a shot here next. So again, we'll hop on over here, we'll press our little stop button. Go back to our main page, we'll do all FPGAs. Let's do the, you know what, we'll just go for it. All of them at 725. Let's see what happens. So we'll do 725 on the voltage, and in the minor, we will do, not the minor log, oops, wrong button. We'll do 850, and we'll do a start and see what happens. So we've been running now for a little while, and I think we have found a stable, you know, with no invalids popping up. Again, we're at 850 on each core, but significantly below the recommended on the power. So for 850, they recommend 795. We are currently at 725. And honestly, I think I'm just going to keep pushing it, see how low we can go before we start losing stability. But we are getting that 20.4 gigahash right now at 725 millivolt. So again, these seem to be really, really good chips. I mean, again, I could run them in this highest setting. The problem was just temperature, I couldn't. So I've been trying to lower the millivolts here to lower the temperature, and now I'm trying to find that balance of, like, I want to keep this hash rate as high as possible, and it seems like to get the millivolts down to a point where the cards are cool enough that I'm comfortable running it 24/7, that the millivolts can't handle the 900 clock or 875, but they seem to be handling this 850 at a low millivolt really well. So we're gonna keep on pushing this and see how low we can go. But as you can see, yeah, it's just a whole lot of zeros here and then invalids. So everything's valid, everything's hashing great, and yeah, getting that 6.8 gigahash on all three. So pretty awesome there. So yeah, next step, lower it even more. So let's do it. I'm gonna stop this guy again. So 850 seems to be our stable clock while keeping the cards low power. So we're going to drop all these down to 700. Let's do it. Alright, so that 700 has now taken effect. We'll hop on back over to our minor configuration. We're going to keep all this the same. Again, we're trying to hold this 850, which equates to 20.4 gigahash. We're trying to hold that as long as we can while lowering our voltages as much as we can. So increasing that efficiency, trying to get well beyond this 26.77 that they're calculating. Alright, well that didn't take very long at all. Almost immediately at the 850 clock speed, but 700 on the voltage. We're getting errors almost immediately. You can kind of see them floating up the screen closely there. So again, it's nothing major, but you know, I might as well just run it as stably as possible. So we're gonna re-up those back to the 725, unfortunately. But we're gonna keep our 850 here. So I mean, again, that's really quite phenomenal that we're able to achieve 850 on the clock and a 725 on our voltage and be completely stable. So we're gonna make that change real quick. All of these FPGAs back to 725. Apply. Alright, so we have been running the 725 millivolts and the 850 core clock here for a little bit. These seem to be the temperatures we're hovering at. 72 on that small heatsink board and low 60s on the others. Hop on over to our minor logs here. Has been running pretty stably. I think there's been like maybe one or two invalids in like a 10-minute span, but it's mostly, you know, zeros and I think I'm pretty happy with it to leave it and try this setting, you know, overnight. But yeah, so really impressed, I guess, with my specific units. Again, being able to be so much below what is recommended for 850. Again, 850 they recommend 795, and I'm currently running 725, as you can see here. So significant wattage savings. Also decrease in temperature, which should help the longevity of the units. It is slowly ramping up to, there we are, we're at 17 on the pool. Not quite the, what are we getting in the software? 6.8 times 3, so that's 20.4. So we're not quite up there, but that's, to be honest, we do have, you know, a pretty high developer fee of 15%. So, you know, we're actually almost about where we should be with that 15% factored in. Thanks again, RetroMike, for having a pool and helping distribute the hash rate. Again, everyone, if you're looking for a pool in the US, try RetroMike's pool. You know, we should always, for the betterment of any network, try and spread out that hash rate. Right now, you know, 78 of the last 100 blocks have gone to ViperNet. Do not select ViperNet unless you absolutely have to. You know, RetroMike's a cool guy, and he has lower fees. So, you know, spread out that hash rate. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep on running this, and hopefully, you know, runs well. Again, temperatures are staying stable. Occasionally, the GUI still has some weird errors. Like, this is definitely not 36. The GUI has gotten better. It used to only report wrong temperatures, whereas now it's getting much better. But yeah, so that's my E300, you know, trial run on Kylacoin. Let me know, you know, what overclocks you can achieve down below. Hopefully you found this helpful, and yeah, let me know how all your E300s are operating, and if you have made the switch to Kylacoin with its boom in price. So I think that's about it for today. So like, subscribe, comment down below, and we'll be back with more updates in the future on this unit and my farm as a whole. Until next time.